still waiting for a couple of more people to join. And while we do, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Paridhi, co-founder of MBA and Beyond, and we do this week on week to bring to you the most meaningful and insightful, knowledge from across the globe, from the experts, students, and alums of some of the top 20 business schools. Today, we've got some amazing speakers with us, but before I announce who they are, and I know most of you are already looking to become product managers and private equity professionals after an MBA, so we are going to be addressing all of that with our two amazing speakers in a bit. I'd love to first get to know our audience a little bit to warm up the session, so we know where are you at, how much clarity do you have with respect to your goals. So I'm just going to be sharing my screen. What you see on my screen is a Slido. If you're connected on your laptop, just take your phone, scan the QR code there. If you're connected on your phone, I'm going to ask you to go to slido.com, key in 1460602 as your code, and let's get to know you better. What are your post-MBA goals? So we are going to navigate this session in the direction of what we see here the most. While we understand a lot of candidates who are joining us today, they are interested in product management and private equity, but we like to go with the flow. Interesting. Let's keep them coming. Meanwhile, I can walk you through how this session is going to look like. So first 25 to 30 minutes, we are going to address some of the most pressing questions when it comes to product management and private equity application. I'm also going to ask you guys to mute yourself. Thank you very much. So we're going to be tackling some of the most pressing questions that we are posed by the candidates, or the pressing questions that our candidates face when they're putting their application forward with product management and private equity or VC as their post-MBA goals. Post that, we want to discuss what a good post-MBA goal looks like for different profiles. And then after that, we're going to give the stage to you guys. So last 30 minutes are going to be all about you. We want to address all the questions that pop up in your head. So feel free to drop them in the chat window on the right-hand side, or you feel free to raise your hands as well, because we always welcome some of our audience also go unmute themselves and go on cameras. We'd like to make this session very, very interactive. Let me see how many of us have joined. Okay, it's 25 of us. Let's wait for a couple of more answers come in. Let me talk about, meanwhile, you guys are up to it, and meanwhile, we're waiting for more audience or more people to join. I hope you've had a chance to go through our interesting panel of consultants. MBA and Beyond is the largest global community of alums and students coming together to give back to the MBA application pool or MBA applicant pool. So most of the consultants that you would see in our panel, they are alums of some of the top business schools who are actually working with some of the big organizations like MBB, FANG. Some of them are even co-founders in the Silicon Valley, and they are actually in this space to give back to the community. So we have disrupted the whole model of admissions consulting by purely providing admissions consulting services from someone who's an admissions consultant only, while we do mentorship with the candidates and matchmake you with the consultants who've actually taken a very similar journey like yourself. That's one. And I hope some of you, I see some familiar names here, have had a chance to connect with our profile experts who are actually students of some of the top business schools that you guys are aspiring to get into. So if you've not had a chance to speak to our profile experts, evaluate your profile so far, we'd love to invite you to go on our profile expert page and connect with the profile experts. The system is going to match you with the most relevant profile expert for your profile. Just key in a few details and we're going to find you the best person who's going to evaluate your profile. I think now we've got a good audience already, so let's move on to our speakers. We've got Shantanu, founder of MBA and Beyond, with us tonight, and I'm so happy to share the space with him tonight. I think we're doing a session after a year, Shantanu, together, to be honest. And we've got Carlos. So welcome, guys. I'm really excited to share the space with both of you and bring out the right insights for our audience tonight. Shantanu, over to you. Why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Right. I think the last session that I did, I think Carlos, that was with you. And I think we're just meeting over coffee sessions. So good to see you, Carlos, over here, and everyone. Like good to see you over here as well. We know that there are a bunch of questions that you will have in your mind. You must be googling a lot, right? But still, there are some questions where you will need uh, answer in depth. We'll be more than happy to support you guys for whatever questions you have, and I'll try my best. And I think majority of the people over here, they want to go get into I think PE, right? I mean, I think Carlos, you're up. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me here. Yeah, last time I was with you, Santanu, and I feel a bit more comfortable in this about this topic this time. Well, my name is Carlos Almenar, and I right now work in London in a in leverage finance advisory, helping private equities to basically to raise money when they want to acquire a company. I graduated last year in LBS, London Business School, and I did a few internships in private credit, which is like basically similar to private equity, but we help the private equities to lend them money to acquire the companies. Before my MBA, I have experience in restructuring in Madrid. And well, I guess like most of you, I wanted to move to a more buy-side role and moving to London. So that's why I did my MBA in LBS. Also, I did part of my MBA was in NYU. That's the good thing about LBS, that gives you the opportunity to do an exchange. And this is something very valuable. It was something very valuable to me. And you're happy to help anyone, any question here.
Thank you, both of you. Super excited for this session today. So let's start with the first and the most pressing question that has come through to us. And this one is for Shantanu. And of course, Carlos, you're welcome to chime in as well with any interesting insights that you might have. Which profiles can put product management as their post-MBA goals in their MBA application? So it's mostly around maybe examples of profiles, Shantanu, if you can talk about. We know that you bring your experience as a product manager, both pre and post MBA to the table, which I'm sure we can all reap some benefits out of in this session.
Right. So I guess my bad. I forgot to tell you guys. Like pre-MBA, I was into product management, and then post-MBA, I was also working as a product director. So yeah, I mean, if we have to talk about product management, what kind of profiles can apply? I would say it's pretty important for us to understand what product management is, right? I can break down product management into 4 or 5 main parts. Like point number one is you gotta gather the requirement, right, from the stakeholders, right, the problems which everyone is facing. Then point number two is you got to prioritize. I mean, people give you 1,000 problems, right? You would only have space to solve 10, right? Now, how would you say that I'm going to solve these top 10, right?
Basically like helps them approve. Sorry about that, Shantanu. You can continue.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, second thing would be that, and third thing would be execution with the tech team, right? How well can you execute the project? And the fourth thing would be analyzing, right? The stuff that you've done over time, is it really helping move the KPI meter? If you've done any of these, it's a single one. I'm not saying all four. All four is product management, right? You can apply. You can mention, that you got transferable skills, and these skills would be really useful when you're working as a product manager. So, in short, to conclude, I mean, I would say someone who's already working as a project manager, or someone who's working as an analyst, or someone who can really showcase that person has done kind of stakeholder management, right? Can showcase.
Interesting. So, and this is coming from an applicant who's joined us just now, and I was having a conversation with her yesterday. So this candidate Shantanu has been a software developer for 4 years, and she wants to venture into product management. She just found a job in Singapore while as a software developer as well. What are your thoughts on positioning, a tech
Right.
engineers coming?
Right.
Yeah, how should they, if you've got
I'm
any?
glad you asked this. I think I probably missed it out. The biggest challenge. So see, I mean, there are multiple roles. One is called product manager. Another one is called product owner, right? So a lot of times a product manager would be a person who's just defining the roadmap for the team to work on, and then there's product owner who's gonna work with the tech team. But anyways, it is extremely important to work with tech team, right? And in general, if you see product managers that don't know coding, I mean, first of all, it's not a requirement. But if someone who knows, who comes from engineering background, I think that gives you an edge. That actually gives you an edge over others. That you can talk the same language. I mean, you can talk business language, and sometimes you can also talk tech language, right? And product management, you guys would have seen that Venn diagram sits at the intersection of business and tech, right? I think it's a rare profile. In the industry, we don't have such product managers, so this definitely you have an edge.
Great, thanks a lot. And which schools would you recommend are great for people who want to become product managers after an MBA?
Right. I personally feel whatever school is going to teach you is there online, guys. I mean, you can start studying it already. But what school gives you is the network, right? Network in a specific location, right? Now, if you talk about tech, then Silicon Valley comes into mind, right? Berlin is going to come into mind, right? I would say apply in a school which either is in the proximity of these regions or the alum base is good enough, right? So let's say if we pick Silicon Valley, Stanford, us, Anderson, these are the schools which are pretty close, right? Having said that, at this time, I mean, all the business schools, be it product management, be it becoming a management consultant, right? I think it's pretty same. What really matters is how much of a networking can you do in that particular region, how much of an alum base you have in that particular region. And Carlos, I mean, I'm more than happy to also hear your thoughts over here on this particular thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think when I made the decision where to go in my MBA, is, as you said, I was looking, okay, I want to work in Europe, right? So for me, LBS made sense because I want to work in Europe and in London. So the network really helps. Most of your colleagues usually stay in the country where they have studied, right? And also for visa-wise, especially now, for example, in my case, UK, that is not part of the European Union anymore. So if you want to work here, it makes it easier if you have a study here. Also, the companies usually they know better the universities where they are. So I agree with you. It's the same in finance at the end.
Absolutely. So just to summarize what Shantanu and Carlos just mentioned, so just beyond the role and the tag of the role that you guys are looking for, potentially make a list of the organizations that you're interested in, geography that makes more sense to you. Where are the work visa? It's more, probably not going to be as difficult in today's scenario. Where could you potentially land a job easily? Where could you find a sponsor more easily? Consider all of these opportunities, make a list of them, and see which schools fall in that parameter or in that periphery of the paraphernalia that you guys have defined for yourselves. So that's how.
Just one quick thing over here. I mean, guys, school is not going to make you land a job. You'll have to fight for it. I mean, then like once you go and do an MBA, then you will be fighting with the likes of the top 5-10 business schools of the world. The competition just got stiffer, So yeah, everyone on their own for that. Gotta take care of things, right?
All right, so we've got a bunch of questions coming in, but we're going to still spend like 10 to 15 more minutes, guys, addressing some of the questions that we've received already. And then we're going to jump onto the questions. So hold on a little bit more and we're going to come into your questions, guys. So the next question, this is more for Carlos. Which profiles, Carlos, do you recommend are okay to put private equity, venture capital, or fine as a post-MBA goal? And which ones would you like exemplify is, a profile,
Yeah.
maybe give an example that is good to go with a PEVC.
So yeah, I'm more familiar with private equity, and definitely helps if you have a background in investment banking, let's say. So yeah, private equity companies, what they tend to look is first of all investment bankers, and second MBBs, yeah, McKinsey's or PCO or Bain's. Of course, if it's a private equity very specialized in, let's say, healthcare, so maybe they could look at other profiles like coming from health tech or something like that. But I would say, yeah, those two sectors are where they tend to look more. In venture capital, what I found is a bit different, because here at the end, they don't care about that much like the financial part, right, let's say. So they can look for other profiles like coming from entrepreneurs or like from tech, right? Depending also, again, if the venture capital is focusing one specific industry or sector, they can look for profiles from that have worked in those startups. So it really depends if you are aiming private equity or venture capital. It's different
Cool.
profiles.
Yeah. Shantanu, any thoughts? Any profiles that you guys would like to say, okay, these guys cannot apply for a private equity or a VC role as a no-no?
First of all, PE is a pretty close-knit community, right? And the competition is like very, very stiff, right? It's not easy to get a job over there, right? And for someone who has made it through, I mean, and would be more than happy to, sometimes Carlos, just sit with you and listen to your experience, your personal experience. How did you make the break? I personally feel that don't stretch it. I mean, just don't. I mean, down the line, once you get into a business school, right, there are so many options available. You can pick and choose from. But I generally, what I say is I generally steer away from the very famous and most sought after post-MBA goals. But still, if we talk about what I've had successful people writing down PE as their goal. I mean, if you have handled channelizing money into a particular direction, where you are actually creating an impact, right? For example, one of the guy, he was handling, he used to work in Shell, but then he was handling investment to come up with renewable source of energy. That guy, we put it down PE as one of his goals in one of his schools, and did get through. Also got scholarship, I guess. I guess he's at LBS, Carlos. So yeah, I mean, those would be my 2 cents for anything over here.
Thanks a lot, guys. So we have a question from Soumya here. And she's checking, is it relevant, while we've touched upon private equity a little bit, and I know questions are going to come in for VC as well. So I think it'll help address a lot of questions around it. Is relevant pre-MBA experience, say in IB, mandatory to crack roles in VC post-MBA? Thoughts? I can share.
I mean, VC, I would say, for PE, for sure, it really helps, because as Antonio said, it's more and more competitive. The industry is getting more sophisticated, and it really matters. For me, in my case, I did a few internships in private credit, which is very similar to private equity, and it was very, very hard to get them, and also to stay there, because also with the crisis, interest rates going up and everything, all the environment is not great right now. But what you can do is to land a job, let's say, in investment banking, let's say, and from that move to private equity 2 years after that, or 1 year. For venture capital, I think it's much more diverse, the profiles they look at. Of course, if you have some finance background, it helps, but I would say VC is not as like the profiles are more diverse, let's say. So yeah, you can come from, I don't know, like startup, as I said, or a tech role, and depending on the VC, and you can get a good job in VC.
Great. Thanks a lot. So guys, I'd just like to add here while we talk about very specific roles, and it's good to talk about it, and it does bring out a lot of clarity in your application that, yes, you've really thought it through, and there are some very specific roles that you're looking for. And something I'm going to reiterate what Shantanu says, which I personally also know he steers clear from using some very famous roles out there like management consulting. He's really going to, and our consultants really nudge you to start thinking beyond and outside of the box so that you're not putting very conventional goals out there. So whatever role you want to pitch yourself as for, be playing after an MBA, I would always recommend that you keep in mind what is the impact of that role as a global business leader you're going to portray your story as. And more than a specific tag of a role, it's going to be the evidences that you bring to the table, which link with the impact that you're going to bring in, irrespective of that tag. So it's very essential for you to start thinking beyond just the role, because you also have to highlight the impact, and whatever role is going to make sure that you're able to, paint a big picture in front of the business school, take that role and fit that in. Having said that, the question we are going to, of course, I'm going to be sharing screen and talking about one of the candidates who portrayed product management as a post-MBA goal, and then we're going to do the same for private equity. Before that, Carlos, do you have any schools that you would suggest candidates can go for private equity?
Well, again, I think you have to build your network, and of course, the most important cities in the world are London in Europe and Paris. I would say second in a second position, and in the States is much more. You have many more cities, right? Like Chicago or New York or LA. So yeah, I would say it helps if you have your network in the city you want to study. But all, like, let's say INSEAD is a great school, LBS, Cambridge Oxford. Yeah, ESA in Spain is quite good. And in the States, Columbia is very strong in finance, also because it's in New York. NYU is strong, again, because it helps that it's in New York. Booth, Wharton, but yeah, I think like every school, they have their finance classes, they have their network. So yeah.
Absolutely. And like on a candidate side, if I were to apply for PE and VC roles, I would just apply to London and New York, guys, because of course they are the financial hubs. And to be honest, when we talk about networking, trust me, at business school, it's more about who are you getting your coffees and drinks with. You're going to spend like most of your money on that. So choose wisely who you're really spending it on or with. So that's what's going to eventually land you the job. So the geography or the location or the city really matters, especially when it comes to these kind of roles. Shantanu, any 2 cents on schools beyond what we both have shared?
For product management or
No, for
for
PVC, yeah.
For PVC, I mean, I would totally agree. Hubs, the finance hub in States is New York. Stay there. NYU, Columbia, right? But again, there's something that I mentioned earlier, like almost all the top business schools. You've got Alan sitting over there. But the advantage to be in the same city where if you go out and you bump into someone from private equity, even outside of your own network, right? I mean, that's a bliss, right? If we come to Europe, London is the place to be. So yeah, LBS and INSEAD both in that way.
Yeah, and that kind of validates, and I would like to reiterate the vision of MBA and Beyond here. So while you understand the MBA part of it, I'm going to talk a little bit and take half a minute to talk about the Beyond aspect of it. So we are actually trying to build a very large network of MBA alums and students and aspiring candidates from different business schools, so that you get an opportunity to network with candidates across the globe beyond the barriers of your own business school. So an INSEAD alum should be, or a student should have the potential capability to network with an LBS or with a Booth or a Columbia alum in the private equity or VC space, if you guys are in the same vicinity. All right, moving on. What are the most important elements of an MBA application in portraying strong and meaningful post-MBA goals? Maybe we could start with product management as an example, Shantanu, and first maybe touch upon the elements, and then how can we really portray ourselves as a strong candidate for post-MBA goals of product management. Right. I'm going to share my screen, guys, while Shantanu explains his thoughts.
Right. These elements are your current function, your domain, your current location, right? And in terms of what are you doing, what your current industry. I think current industry I've already touched upon. Your function, location, domain, industry. Yeah. So these are the elements that we already take care in Mirror. This is our platform Mirror, right? Where applicants and they build their application. They come over here and they fill their stuff. These 3 points are kind of important. I mean, out of this, you can mention your short-term goal, right, which is probably a one-liner. But what's more important is the context behind, right, this. So there's another element, and that element is your context behind. Why are you saying product management? And the best way, the fourth element that comes into picture is transferable skills. It's like for example, to make it simple for everyone, let's say right now I'm baking pizza, and tomorrow I'm talking about making cake, right? So transferable skill over here is I know how to operate an oven, right? So those transferable skills, on the 4 pillars of product management that I talked about: requirement gathering, prioritizing, execution with tech team, analytics. If you can bring in any transferable skill over here, perfect recipe.
Great. Thanks a lot, Shantanu. Just some of the sanity checks that we need to be careful about, especially when we're talking about the elements. What you see on my screen is Mirror. This is an introspection tool for all our candidates to think through our goals, our strengths, achievements, weaknesses, failures, international exposure, extracurriculars, why MBA, anything and everything that a business school application entails. So you get the right samples, the right mindset, the right approach in form of course, videos and some documents that you need to go through, which gives you the right tools to start thinking and brain dumping in this space. One element when you're thinking about your goals, and this goes for both private equity and product management, there are going to be 3 points that you may want to switch or pivot in your application. One is going to be domain industry, second function, and third location. At no point in time, it's recommended that you say you want to switch all 3. So whatever you do, for example, here you can see that the domain industry is changing while the function remains the same, location is changing. For most of you who are looking to, of course, move abroad, location or geography is something that is inevitably going to change. So you have to play between industry and function just to make sure that your application stands and lays on a very strong foundation and sturdy grounds. So this is like simple rule to keep in mind. Anything that, Shantanu, I think there is a question and we can take this one right now. Let me just stop sharing, which is actually for transferable skills. So somebody is asking, what are the transferable skills from product management that can help transition to private equity? So we need both your inputs here, Carlos and Shantanu. This is a tricky one. What is the delta we should focus from an MBA?
Right. So let's do this, Carlos. So the way I mentioned that, these are the 4 things for product management. Let's talk about the top things as per you for private equity. And then
sure.
Let's merge these 2 answers together. That is going to be the eventual answer,
Yeah,
and let me pull out an applicant's journey also meanwhile to share my screen. But Carlos, you can start sharing your thoughts. Thanks.
Yeah, I would say in private equity, what matters is, of course, you have strong financial skills, like understand a balance sheet, P&L, all the accounts. Also, you have to think out of the box, like what are the merits of an investment, right? At the end, you are an investor and you put in the money of your LPs in a company, think that that's gonna go up, right? You also in private equity is a people business, so you all the time are interacting with different parties like lawyers, legal teams, the same, advisors, other private equities, private credits, and you have to manage those processes. So I guess there is some overlapping in portfolio management there, right? For example, I'm working on a deal right now, and we are a team of let's say 6 different teams. We are from the leverage finance advisory, but they have the M&A team, the lawyers, the consultants doing the commercial due diligence, and they have to run all the process, right? And also, yeah, again, you have to think strategically in the company, in every of your companies, right? So it's a very interesting job, but also requires a lot of time. They work long hours because they don't only look at new investment, but also they have to do all the portfolio management, right? Attend to the meetings of the board and everything.
No, perfect, Carlos. Perfect, Carlos. I mean, I just kind of, sent
Yeah.
the question over to you. My bad, but I mean, so this is more for people, right? In a way that Carlos just mentioned, what do you need for private equity, right? And I had also already mentioned what we need for product management. Honestly, what I could see at the moment is people management over here. You know, that is the only thing common. Having said that, but can you share your screen again and you open the goal section? Right.
Yeah, just give me.
Um,
Yeah, I'll do that. Meanwhile, you can continue talking.
Right. So one thing that we do in our process at MBA and Beyond is we jot down all the qualities required for your post MBA goal, and then we jot down what do you have one by one, and then we try to see that how do I go from here to here and here to there, and then there could be bunch of permutation combination coming over here. Having said that, it's going to be a difficult transition, to answer your question, Umang.
So I was actually trying to pull off Arindam's, like one of our applicants application. I think I'm stuck. My screen is stuck. So I can share that in a bit, Shantanu. But so it's going to be difficult, you're saying. And then Umang, of course, later, happy to put you in touch with a couple of our profile experts to do this more in detail.
Or Umang, if you've worked as a product manager, supporting finance ops, then probably we can bring in finance angle as well. So yeah, but need to have a deeper conversation. I think a profile expert would be, in a deeper conversation, would be able to help you.
All right.
Yeah, just to finish this question, what I would do in that case, if anytime that your profile doesn't match at all, or so just a few things that match your dream job, is to take a step. Let's say you are PM and you wanna end up in private equity, right? So I would try to get maybe into consulting for 1-2 years, or investment banking, of course, and in 2 years' time, so you have the experience and you can sell your story better, right? So a transition. It doesn't have to be okay, after my MBA, and as you mentioned before, you don't do your MBA and you get an offer from Goldman, from KKR, from all the private equities, right? Because at the end, you are competing with the best people also. But you have to build your story. And I think that's important. You don't have to rush. And it's okay. I mean, the career path is long, I would say. And it can take a bit more time, but if you are willing to do it and taking steps in the middle, it's achievable for sure.
That's a good one, Carlos.
Yeah. So Shantanu, I'm sharing my screen. I think you wanted to
go on YMBA. Yeah. Go on YMBA.
Okay. Yeah.
This. Applicant 1.0 is your current version, guys. Applicant 2.0 is the version that we want you to upgrade your operating system and become eligible to achieve your short-term goal. So that's how we do. Right, and the answer is unique for almost everyone. Right now, I can only give you generic answer. That's it, Parati.
All right. Thanks. So guys, just helping you understand a little bit. before you even jump onto working on your essays, I understand most of you are targeting round 2. Round 1 is not possible anymore, of course. And the process that you see right in front of your screen, it's a 9-step process where actually the essay writing starts in 7th step. So the most interesting and impressive part of this journey is going to be content gathering. Apart from that, there are a few things that we also do in Welcome. When we bring you on board, we try and understand you from other people's perspective as well. So before you start actually working on your essays, it's important to understand or have a point of view, do a little introspection, figure out who you really are as a person. What are your strengths, weaknesses? What are the weak areas? What are, the spaces left which MBA can really help you fill? So it's important to start talking and interacting with, your professional mates or maybe your personal connections who know you in and out, to understand from there how they perceive or how they see an MBA could really benefit you with, if you are not able to think of an answer for why MBA or what your goals potentially look good, which match with your personality as well. You have to start seeing business schools, as a marriage between you and the school, because you have to bring the values together to convince them that yes, your values match with the business schools. So start thinking, start introspecting, and then I think the question of what goals are you going to portray is going to come very easy through to you. All right, I think it's time to start taking questions. Let's jump on to Shobit's questions. Shobit's asking, how a normal person, okay, I assume everybody, okay, how a normal person from engineering background get into MBA in top business schools. I think it's all normal people who get into top business schools also, but okay, not disqualifying what your thought. As his profile is very normal, but changed to achieve later in his life, he realized his mistakes he has done in BTech. Now, what path should he follow? This question is from India. Shantanu, do you want to take?
Right. Yeah, I think the way you have put up your question, you look pretty modest guy. I think the way to crack this is brag modestly. Everyone has a bunch of stuff in their kitty, probably not aware of, right? So it's extremely important to bring out those achievements, to bring out those particular anecdotes, and tie them up with what school is looking for, right? Now, like you said, mistakes you have done in BTech, I really don't know what mistakes you're talking about over here, first of all, right? But the thing is that ship sailed, right? That ship sailed years ago. Schools also and I mean they know that, right? And it's quite understandable that ship has actually sailed. It's not in your control, but now is in your control, right? What are you doing now? If you already know that you have a weakness or you have a failure, like how are you coming out of it? What steps are you taking? I think portraying this in the application in the right place can really help you.
Yeah.
Nothing is lost. First of all, Shobit, to conclude, nothing is lost. It can be conquered.
Yeah, I hope you got that answer, Shobit. But I'll just, based on my assumptions, when we talk about mistakes in BTech or, undergrad could be, let's say, a low GPA, a back or something like that. There are means to, of course, make up for it. So let's say if we're running on low GPA and there's no way, we can't go back in time, change that. Try to achieve a good GRE score, GMAT score to make up for that. Try to do a few more courses based on, that showcase how you made up for what you missed. Try to have justification for what you missed. Yes, you're raising your hand. We're going to come to you in a bit. Please go ahead and mute yourself if there's something you want to elaborate on.
Hi Shantanu, hi Singh, and so basically my actual question was like what you guessed it right. So the mistakes which I have done, like see, most of the people might be doing like as it is an early stage of career. What they'll be doing is they'll enjoy their BTech life and they'll get into some sort of job in like basically they might not be having a good knowledge about the product and those things. They'll get into a service-based company, or if you are highly talented, you'll get into a product-based company. So when you get into your career, you'll realize that what are the things or mistakes you have done in the BTech so that you got land up in a job. Like the job which you are not interested, but you got through campus placement. So then, so this is not my this is not my life which I wanted to, and I wanted to get into a business profile or like client facing profile. So I need to switch entire my career, right? If I did my BTech in electrical and mechanical or civil, some sort of branches which are not related to finance or related, it will be like when I apply to the college, they'll simply reject my profile. Why? Because it's not up to the
I
mark.
see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Had you been applying to, let's say, MS in a particular field, then honestly, it's difficult to switch from electrical to mechanical, right? You would do a master's, and the bachelor's you have done should complement. If you're talking about a business degree over here, right? It has nothing to do with your was a major in electrical or was a major in mechanical. It's purely business. It's purely on terms of how well can you manage people, how well can you really channelize the effort of each and every team member into a particular direction towards a common goal. That's what it is. And whatever job you do, we can really showcase that you have had this much of experience, had a taste of it, right? Also, business schools are not always looking for someone who has handled like a team of 40 people at what, like 3-4 years of experience. No, it's impossible, right? I mean, I'm not saying impossible, but rare chance, right? So they're looking for potential in leadership, and what we really need to display over here is potential in leadership, right? If you feel that there are few there are some weaknesses in the profile, then we have optional essay to address it, right? But again, the way we do is when we write, when we come up the entire app, in that application, we see, do I really need to talk about my weaknesses now in the optional essay or not? So we take a call at that time. But like I said, I mean, Shobit, nothing is lost. And I am one of them, actually, Shobit. Sorry, just one last thing. I kind of chilled a lot, and yeah, my grades were not good, but then I made sure that my GMAT is good enough, to showcase that.
Thanks. Let's take up the next question. And yeah, Shobit, there is a reason why business schools are looking for experience after an undergrad. There's going to be heavy emphasis in your application journey, which is going to overpower your undergrad experience. There is going to be plenty of space for you to make sure that happens. All right, size checking. There's a doubt he has. Let's say I got an MBA program into an MBA program in one of the European or UK's top business school, a one-year program. When shall we start looking for opportunities in academia? Gonna get in the way, since is basically the question is, when should we start looking for jobs, and is academics gonna come in the way? So that he's looking for a timeline if you're going for a one-year program. I think Carlos and Shantanu, you both went on for a one-year program, so maybe you can share your thoughts. When should one start looking for opportunities?
I think Carlos, you have recently,
Yeah,
you're fresher to the market, so I think you should take it. Yeah.
Yeah, in my case, well, it was 2 years, but I think applies the same. So basically, well, in 1 year program, the sooner you start networking, doing coffee chats, the better, because you start talking with people, understanding what they are looking for, right? I think that's important. So you position yourself in the correct way. So the sooner you start, you can universities or business schools are usually very flexible, so you can do internships at the same time that you are studying. And this is what I did, and this is what I suggest: the sooner you start, the better. So there is nothing, no rule, nothing written. So yeah, network, and doing interviews, because you become better and better. You'll see the first interview will be a mess, but when you find a good opportunity, you will be much better prepared.
Great, thanks a lot.
Can't agree more.
Yep, me too. I think okay, there's a question from Akash, more on product management side, and Shantanu, if you've got any insights, 2 cents on this. How good are LBS and INSEAD for product management? How strong are the networks of these schools back in India as well, for someone who wants to come back to India in the long term?
Right. As far as I know about the network in India, it's pretty big. But because I've always either stayed in Europe or in Singapore, right? I can talk about that more. I mean, for your short term, right? If you're looking to do an MBA from these schools, the network is tremendous. It's just amazing to see that, any city you go in, there's like a WhatsApp group where you have like 200, 300 people in it, So first of all, the network is amazing. Be it product management, be it tech companies, whatever it is, If we then for long term, if you specifically want to talk about India, network I would say is better in Europe, in US, in Asia Pacific. I mean, in Southeast Asia, than in India. That's how I'll put it. But there are a lot of people. Like one of the guys from Silicon Valley, he's like a big shot over there, and he has his own VC firm. And I just saw he moved to India. I mean, back to India. So people, they do move back to India later in their life. But having said that, I mean, the network is strong for sure, but I think less strong than outside India.
All right, thanks a lot. So I've got a direct message from Priyasha. She's checking, and this is more for Carlos. I'm a chartered accountant working as an equity research analyst, and I'm assisting an experienced investment banker also. How should I prepare myself for an MBA? Which MBA program should I enroll in? Which business school should I apply to? Okay, but the question I try to answer.
Again, that's very personal. I guess we have to come back, like, where do you want to work? If I would say in Europe, as we said, LBS is the strongest because you are in London, and in the States, Columbia, like Wharton, Chicago. How to position yourself? I think you have to make clear. I know equity research maybe you don't have this interaction maybe with. Is very focusing on industry, so you can position yourself like, I want to do something broader and have. But I get but it's very personal. What you study is difficult, and every school, like especially in the States, are strong. But if you want to live in Europe, I don't know. So you should give me a bit more of context and background. I'm happy to help, but.
All right, thanks a lot. Manas is checking, how credible is the premise? Top B schools specialize in helping candidates through consulting roles, but for product management roles, the reputation of the school matters the most for job seeking in market, as the career support programs of the school are not as strong as they are for supporting a candidate in consulting. Thoughts on that, guys? It's a good question.
Carlos, would you want to go first? I mean, I can go first as well.
You can go first. These are difficult questions, I have to say.
Guys, I mean, what I'm going to say is going to be a little controversial, but CDC, career development cell of almost every B school that, when I get in touch with people, can be improved. There's a lot of scope of improvement in almost every CDC. So be it consulting, be it product management. I mean, the only thing is like consulting has been there since ages, and if you're getting into top 10 or 20 business schools of the world, like McKinsey, Bain, BCG, they sit at your campus, literally, like every day they are there, delivering you some sort of gift so that you remember them, hosting parties, right? So it's just because of that. I think, you see that consulting, they have a bunch of companies coming over there. As far as product management is concerned, it recently popped up, right? If you see the evolution in terms of the way job opportunities come to business school. But CDC, I mean, career development cell in general, it's same. They are doing equal work for consulting and for product management. But what I feel is, again, it is the school tag only matters if you are able to get a referral in that particular company. If answer is yes, then you're given the job, right? I mean, it's a funnel, right? I mean, you do 50 interviews, you get to 30 round 1, then 20 round 2, then probably 5 last round, and you make it 1, right? So it's just a funnel after that. Yeah, this would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Sunanda is also checking, how can a very basic ops profile in an investment bank help you sell a good story on why you want to do an MBA? I mean,
Well, I think that one is easy. That you have seen what is the front office, right? And you would like to be there, and the MBA can help you to get the skill set and the financial skills. And I think it's a easy, well, not an easy move, but it's an easy story to sell, right? And that you have worked in a bank, what they are doing in the investment bankers, and you would like to be there. But again, I think it's coming, as Antonio said, like you are very focused in what school, and that's coming from the other question. And I wouldn't, at the end is where you get in, right? And every business school, they have different, like you can, after that, like there are structure like recruitment, like consulting or investment banking, and you have then a structured recruitment like private equity. You have to do your homework yourself. Private credit, the same, of course. Tech roles, for example, you have Amazon that before LBS was in theory and financial or more focused in finance, and Amazon last year recruited like 60 people from LBS. So it's not anymore, there are no boundaries, I would say, or walls in a school. Okay, this school is focused in finance, right? So every school covers every industry. And at the end is the market, how it's moving, what the recruiters are doing. And they go to every top school. It's not like, okay, we are going to LBS because it's stronger in finance. No, at the end, Amazon, for example, as I said, 60 people. So you have to think more, I would say, in like, where do you want to work, in Europe or the States? That really matters. And from that, apply to every school. I had a candidate saying, I want to enter in hedge fund. Okay, but you have to apply to everywhere. And you don't have to have your mind that close, you have to, and maybe you don't know, maybe you do one other thing and you like it even more. But if you are with narrow-minded, it's difficult. You have to be open and try different things, I would say.
Okay. Thanks a lot. And I think, so this is a direct message that came through to me again, Carlos. I think it'll be interesting, and it's very related to what you just answered. Anand is checking, I'm a corporate lawyer working as legal counsel to a private equity. Of late, my inclination has been towards private equity or even investment banking. How do I transition myself from a legal position to such investment portfolio? I think that's a very interesting question.
Yeah, I have a few colleagues here that they are lawyers. They did an MBA and enter in investment banking. And it's, again, the same. I think you have to, when you are selling your stories, like, why do you want that role? And how do you know about that role? Let's say you are a lawyer, so you've been working with investment bankers or with the private equity guys. You like what they were doing. You find that your role is, I don't know, not as interesting, but you have learned a lot that help you to understand better, the legal aspects of a transaction. But you want to improve your financial skills or your management skills or whatever, and that's why you are doing MBA. I think that's a pretty easy story to sell. I have a few friends who have done it, and they are now in Morgan Stanley or here with me in my company, actually. So.
Or I'm going to suggest, come on board, work with Carlos as your primary consultant. Yeah, just like I think like he still has some slots left for round two. But yeah, I think like he's a great consultant when it comes to private equity roles, because it's a, like Shantanu mentioned, it's a close-knit community. You really need to know in and out how the system works, how to navigate through, and how can you pitch your story for that post-MBA goal. All right. Okay. So Sneh is checking. I'm into consulting, clean energy sector, and want to pivot towards private equity, VC space focused in this sector. I know the importance of networking, but I feel I'm not well equipped in terms of technical finance skills before I start networking. Can you please help me with how I should approach based on my situation?
Well, at the end, there are plenty of books in finance, let's say. For example, I'm also CFA. So you can, for example, like try to get the CFA level 1. In that way, you are showing your interest in the finance industry, right? But coming from a consulting is a good profile because private equity, at the end, most of the times they try to enter in the operations of the company, right? So a consultant is what you do. But yeah, I would suggest try all the time, like reading the Financial Times, be aware of what is going on in the capital markets, and plenty of books in the online. The Vault Guide is a very strong guide, VAULT. And yeah, try to do your study by yourself is a good way. Before the MBA, of course.
Thanks, Carlos. I think that's on point. We have a bunch of questions left, and we just have 4 minutes to go. So guys, first of all, you're going to receive an email from me after this session. Please copy paste the message that you've dropped here before it disappears. Save it somewhere and then send it to me in your emails, and I'll get the relevant people from the team to answer you or put you in touch with the profile experts who can really go deeper into your profile and understand your situation. We try to find the best fit profile expert for you. And next, I really love answering this question, and I know, Shantanu, when we can go on and on talking about it, but I think we can take 1.5 minutes each, Shantanu. That's how we both can split our time as co-founders. Somebody's asking, I have a question for Paridhi and Shantanu off the topic. What inspired both of you to start MBA and Beyond? When did the inception start? What makes a firm like MBA and Beyond successful? Shantanu, maybe you can start first, and I chime in.
Honestly, I can talk on this for like entire 1 hour. But my quick sense, what inspired both of you to start MBA and Beyond? I mean, I've been into applicant shoes, and I know, how wonderful the industry is. So I kind of thought that's a pretty good space for me, to come over here. I think honestly, when you start something, you don't know, you don't come with a mindset that it is going to become huge. When they just help people, honestly, whatever I knew, just put those things in. That's how it started, and the reason I kept on doing it was, I love that part. And then when people get through, right, I mean, it's the happiness that is coming out of their entire body, the quiver that they have. I mean, that was something I feel would make a firm like MBA and Beyond successful. If you can have those moments, really changing someone's life, and where a person, also feels for you, I think I would call that as successful.
Yeah, thanks. So that was like the personal touch that Shantanu gave to this. I'll talk about how the business angle and the community angle of it started, to be honest. So Shantanu went to one of the best business schools, which is in INSEAD, while I, on the other side, play the devil's advocate here. That's why I sit on the side where I question our candidates a lot. Why do you want to put in so much of money into an MBA? Give me 100K. I would travel the world, build a business, or go for an MBA. I'd actually choose 1 or 2. I would not go for the third one. While Shantanu, with a very clear mindset, exactly knew what he wanted to get out of it. When he went to business school, we were both talking, and we realized that 80% of the candidates did did not know what their purpose with such an expensive degree was. And guys, it is an expensive shit. Like, we are putting in a lot of money, and going there without knowing what you want to get out of it is something which was completely unacceptable for both of us. While we both want to groom global business leaders empowered by the largest community here, because you get to work with the best mentors across the globe. So we started checking in with a lot of consultants around who work with us now, that would you like to mentor people? And everybody was doing that in their individual capacity. So Shantanu and I started thinking, can we build a platform where mentorship is so normalized that you are actually getting to work with people who've done it what you want to do a couple of years down? And that's the mentorship gap that we both came together to bridge, to give this more meaning and purpose to why should you put in so much money into an MBA. So it's just a community empowered space at MBA and Beyond. Anybody who comes on board as an applicant also gets to become an part of MBA and Beyond family as a profile expert and as an MBA consultant for us, to empower the right kind of people and nurture them in the right direction. So long story short, thanks a lot, guys. It was a beautiful session, and I loved hosting both of you, Shantanu and Carlos. Let's do this more often. It was a very specific session today. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.